These aren't just your typical buildings when we're talking about construction. They are the literal backbone of our digital economy.
You look at the data center capacity out there, there's roughly globally 50 gigawatts of capacity that's in operation. There's another 15 gigawatts that's currently in construction.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people that are coming in to build these factories and build these data centers.
We're seeing some of the hyperscalers are engaging to restart nuclear power plants that have been shut down.
This is the Construction Insiders Podcast. I'm Jessica Busch, bringing you the newest trends and strategies in construction, essential to anyone in the industry.
Welcome to the Construction Insiders Podcast, where we dive deep into the trends, challenges, and innovations shaping our built environment. So today we are going to explore one of the most rapidly changing, most dynamic sectors in our construction industry today. We are going to be talking all things data centers, semiconductors, advanced technology, because as many of you can assume or know, these aren't just your typical buildings when we're talking about construction. They are the literal backbone of our digital economy, powering everything from AI to cloud computing and even the devices we use every day. So, with demand exploding, increased pressures, we wanted to bring in two of our top experts to really dive in to how to successfully deliver these complex, high-stakes projects. So joining me today, we have Jeff Leeper, president of Worldwide Professional Solutions, a professional construction services company that really focuses on that advanced technology space from mission critical, energy, and semiconductor, as well as Tom Vanelli, senior director over at Cumming Group, with a focus on the advanced technologies sector as well. So thank you, gentlemen, for taking your time today. I look forward to this discussion.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
I have quite a few questions for you guys so we can get to the bottom of this. And starting off, for those that really aren't tracking this specific type of build as much as you guys are, can we start with the big picture? The unprecedented growth we're seeing in these facilities. What's driving that growth, the demand, and the significance of this type of scale when we're talking about growth? Can you guys start kind of painting that bigger picture before we jump into too many details here?
I'll jump in first from the data center space. Right now, when you look at the data center capacity out there, there's roughly globally 50 gigawatts of capacity that's in operation. There's another 15 gigawatts that's currently in construction. And when we take a step back and we look at what's in the pipeline for delivery right now, it's well over 100 gigawatts. So you can see, and that's between now and the end of 2030. So basically here in the next 3 to 4 years, we're expecting to see exponential growth in the data center sector. That's obviously very, very heavily driven by the AI demand that we're all hearing about so much in the news right now. And then of course that then ties into where maybe I'll kick it over to Jeff for a little bit.
Yeah, the semiconductor business right now is booming, both from a microprocessor perspective as well as from the memory perspective. Both are needed to be deployed into a data center to bring the servers up, to bring up the traffic into a data center so that they can meet their customers' needs. These customer needs are across the gamut from, again, as mentioned, AI, the cloud compute, banking, every aspect of industry and life, down to the personal device you may use at your home. It's a very interesting perspective, having been in the data center world before, and how that compute power it's under so much demand, but the growth is again stimulating into semiconductor, along with the onshoring of manufacturing in the U.S. that's bringing more semiconductor companies into the U.S. So we're seeing that very rapid expansion in demand in the U.S. right now.
So I hate to bring things up that we've talked about off camera because we've had a lot of time together for this. But Jeff, when we were talking earlier today, you mentioned kind of how data centers, semiconductors, the power infrastructure, how they're all interconnected. And I kind of wanted to bring that up on this episode here and talk about, nothing seems to really exist in isolation. Can you explain to us how they're feeding off of each other and what that means for a project from a project delivery standpoint, I
Sure.
guess. Yeah.
No, it's a great question. Yeah, the semiconductor and data center both consume just massive amounts of power. So as companies are coming in to build, it's all about land, permits, power. And in many cases, in semiconductor, it's a lot of water, to a lesser degree within the data center. But everybody's competing for all those resources and infrastructure, both in terms of power generation, power distribution, and then power into their data center site or semiconductor site. So they're vying for the same resources. And throughout the US, we're seeing where markets are opening up. For example, down in Texas, power availability out into more rural areas is driving a demand for projects, and which brings in labor into those regions as well, which is a whole different topic by itself.
I was like, don't jump ahead. We're going to get there, believe me, because it is such a hot topic. And so talking about labor, Tom, I know you're pretty passionate about that. It's been a challenge, let's just say it.
Yes, it has.
So how are we filling those critical roles as an industry? Or how are we not? Or what are we doing about it? Because it is a very specialized piece of knowledge that you have to be able to work on these very complex projects.
I think there's several ways we're tackling that as a company, and probably by extension as an industry. I would just say first, as we also talked about earlier today, we have an incredible internal talent acquisition team that is constantly assessing and looking for the right people to come and join our firm.
Yes.
And I think that is something we need to highlight, that we are looking for help. We need help. There's a ton of opportunities out there, and we would highly encourage anybody that's interested in joining us to come take a look and get in touch. I would say that first. Secondly, yes, it is a very specialized industry. However, at the end of the day, it is construction, and we are a construction management firm, and we're providing a professional service. And so one thing we are doing is we are looking at internally how we can take people that maybe have not worked in a data center or maybe have not worked in a semiconductor fab, but they have really good construction management experience. They've been out in the field. They've done these things that are very, very important for these projects to be successful, and bringing them across and teaching, training, developing. And it's usually a very, very short ramp up to take somebody that has experience in, say, a life sciences project or a power plant or something like that that's very heavy in MEP, and we can bring them across and they can find success very quickly in a data center or a semiconductor fab or anything else that's related. I would also highlight very quickly for folks that, we recognize that the market right now, people have options, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And we recognize that, this is not, we don't own the market. Nobody owns the market. We think, though, that we offer a wonderful place for people to come work. We were recently certified as a great place to work at Cumming Group, and we think that that's something everybody should know and take a strong look at us.
And not to plug us too much, but I have been here for quite a few years. I mean, it really comes down to the culture and the expertise and the growth and the opportunities to move in our company. And I think that has been really interesting. And as this sector specifically grows and we need those talented individuals, it's a wonderful place. I'm still here. We're all still here. And Jeff, what about for you? Because I know coming with WWPS, from your perspective, labor, how is that being managed, or what are your pain points?
That's great. It's a great question. Internally, obviously, we're newer to the Cumming Group, but the culture, the people is what, at its core, it is who we are, and it's bringing people in who have a passion to learn and want to learn in new markets. We can teach construction. To be honest, it's what I've been doing for more than 35 years, and I have a huge passion for it. But how do we teach and grow that next generation of leaders in this space? Project managers, construction managers, cost managers, and so forth. It's an incredible opportunity for all of us as leaders in this space, and it's an exciting time.
So the challenges that exist in this space and the demand right now with this space, what makes somebody successful? Because we do need new individuals coming into the space. And what are those success points look like? Is it risk management? Is it creativity? What are you guys looking for to have these really high stakes projects cross the finish line?
For me, the ability to communicate is obviously one of the most important things that's out there. We are interfacing with multiple people on a daily basis. You're working with a contractor, you're working with an owner. Everybody at the end of the day has a common goal to deliver a project. However, there's slightly different, goals when it comes to that, and how to get there. And so that communication is super, super important to be able to connect the dots and drive a project forward. I would also say very quickly before I hand it off to Jeff, work ethic, honestly. I've never claimed to be the smartest person in the room, and I definitely don't think I am today sitting next to Jeff, but I am willing to work, and I'll work very hard. And I think that the people that are on our team that come in and join our team, if they're able to communicate, they're able to put the time and the effort in, and they're willing to learn, and they're coachable and they're teachable, there's tremendous opportunities out there for them right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that folks who are coming in who just truly want to be a part of a great team, and understanding that we want to value every voice in the room. That is someone who's junior, who's never been exposed. To be honest, I've often found that those are ones that bring the best ideas because they've not been exposed, and they're exploring, they're asking the question, why do you do it that way? And it becomes real powerful. It's not, I have 20 years of experience and you don't know yet, so listen to me. Conversely, you got to look at the other side. That individual's coming in really truly doesn't know. How do I approach this problem? Help me understand. Candidly, I hired somebody in my previous life who had no construction experience, and she only wanted to learn, wanted to be a project manager. And I hired her, and she soaked it up. She just came in and she said, walked in the field, what's this? That's rebar. Okay, explain it. And it was so basic, but she was our biggest and brightest, bright spot, if you will, in the group, because she was asking the questions. And a lot of times the team would be like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And so
but she had the passion for learning.
Powerful.
Yeah.
So passion for learning, coming in a culture that embraces that and really empowers the team to think differently and bring solutions. Because oftentimes we find where owners, this is the way we do it. We've done it this way for 20 years. It's always gotten results. The market's different.
And the space that you guys are working in is different and
Absolutely.
ever evolving.
100%. And
we're going to get there, but I also wanted to talk about, as we're kind of moving into the build discussion here, site planning. So the critical elements involved with that in this space, schedule, cost, procurement. I assume that site master planning is quite essential in this space. What do you think about that? Kind of what your...
Yeah, I think site master planning starts very early. It starts with site selection and what in the industry you'll call site due diligence, and looking at a piece of property that allows you to maximize the footprint of the facility that you're trying to build. That site master plan carries through the entire evolution of that build, whether it be a data center or multiple data centers on a campus. But having a team to come in and look at that, think about site logistics, where you're going to put cranes, where you're going to put a lunch tent for the craft. And oftentimes these craft are numbering 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people that are coming in to build these factories and build these data centers. And things are running in parallel, which only adds to the complexity.
So you're building a mini city in these rural.
Essentially, and in many cases, frankly, the number of craft and people we have on the site actually outnumbers the number of people in the town or the city, quite literally.
That paints quite a picture.
It does.
Okay. And so what about, what's impacting? So we get the site, we get set, we get our mini city developed. What about the schedule? I'm assuming job safety in these more remote areas. What is that all looking like in this space right now?
From a job safety perspective, what we're seeing is that people are coming to the job site who may not have been on a semiconductor project, may not have been on a data center, and frankly, may not have worked for companies that value safety the way that we do. The Cumming Group, WWPS, and all of our affiliates, safety is at its core. It's the highest value. We're talking about people who we want them, need them to go home safely every single day. Right. So at its core, our programs and our leadership are focused on ensuring that they do go home safely every day.
I would add, I've prior to joining Cumming Group, I spent 15 years roughly with a general contractor, and it really is, it's 0 accidents. That is the only acceptable number. Everybody goes home, everybody comes to work. there's no injuries, there's no accidents. You have to have that philosophy, and you have to believe that that's attainable, because if you don't believe that's attainable, then you're doing a disservice to everyone out there.
Right. And it's not going to happen.
And it's not going to happen. No, you have to strive for it.
So when we've got site selection, how about this space requires a lot of power, as we've talked about briefly. What comes down to when we're talking about power planning, and what creative solutions are you, the owners, how are we getting to these places with the power needs that are just so critical?
I'll jump in on this one. We're seeing several things right now, and I'll touch on some different avenues, and maybe Jeff will chime in as well. But nuclear is first. We're seeing some of the hyperscalers are engaging to restart nuclear power plants that have been shut down. So we're looking at creative solutions, or we're seeing the industry look at creative solutions like that to make sure that we are utilizing power as effectively as we can. I think the second piece of this is, honestly, you have now folks looking to build their own power plants. You have owners and developers that say, hey, we cannot go to the grid and get power. We need to build our own power plant, and we're going to do it either, we'll probably do it behind the meter. It may be off the grid, but that is another way that is, we're helping to ensure there's enough power out there. Because if you look, quite frankly, and I mentioned it earlier, roughly 100 gigawatts at least that's in development right now. That number probably changes daily. There's not that amount of power out there, right? So there has to be a solution somewhere, and the solutions are coming in the form of restarting nuclear power plants, doing your own bespoke, if you will, solutions on whether it be renewables, whether it be natural gas on your own property. And like I said, maybe that's behind the meter, maybe that's off the grid. And there's also renewables that play into that. And maybe I'll let Jeff touch on the renewable space. I know that's close to his heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of what you touched on is 100% spot on. The sustainable energy, i.e., wind turbines, solar, those two alone right there, you can see their solar farms are coming up all over the place, but they're still a very small amount. The number of solar panels required, number of wind turbines required to generate the kind of power that Tom spoke about, it's really astonishing. You start to think about, you're powering cities, the equivalent of cities, major cities, Seattle, start talking about LA or other, cities where the amount of power that's being consumed by data center, by semiconductor is off the charts. So I think it's going to be a combination of all the above. And the industry term right now is bring your own power, BYOP, and seeing that pop up all over the place, actually. And so where there isn't reliable power, certainly in semiconductor or data center, both require a reliable, stable power supply that doesn't vary, because it will affect the operation of the facilities. And so each of those companies that are out there are looking for and trying to secure the power, both from a developer's perspective or from an owner's perspective. And again, as I said earlier, it's all about land, power, permits, and in many cases, water as well. So having that secured is essential.
So I'm going to stop you guys right there, because the next kind of area I want to touch is about third-party developers and that land power permits topic, because it is a pretty big one. So let's take a pause right here, if that's okay, and we'll pick this conversation back up for part 2.
Check back in a few weeks as we continue our deep dive into data centers, semiconductors, and advanced technologies with insights from Jeff Leeper and Tom Vanelli. And don't forget to subscribe to the Construction Insiders podcast so you're notified as soon as new episodes go live.